It's time for the Margin Matters Minute with Moneyman Jason Brown.
All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing
Margin Matters Minute.
That's right, and we're doing our Disney Hollywood Studios review.
We got Star Wars shirts on.
We got our Star Wars shirts on. Now, my 6-year-old son, LittleMoneyMan Maddux, he's going to be joining us a little bit later in the video to give us his tips and his review. So we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Because I just turned 6.
He just turned 6?
2 months ago.
That's right. So he's going to be back in just a minute to give us the kid perspective. And until he gets back, I'm going to share some of my thoughts and feelings on our experience at the park. So here we go. And this park, the irony of this park was, as a Star Wars fan, as you can see, this was the park that I was really looking forward to the most of visiting, but it was also the most frustrating park that we experienced, and I'll share some of those reasons why in just a second. So we planned this out. We wanted to get there super early and get on the Rise of Resistance, the most popular Star Wars ride. I believe it is the newest ride. And we heard all these horror stories of people waiting 3 hours to ride this ride. So we had a couple plans in place. We decided either A, let's get there first thing. We'll get there right when they open, and we'll get in line first, and hopefully the lines won't be that bad. And then if we can't get in line, or if the lines are too long, we'll buy the Lightning Lane Pass, which we weren't really a big fan of paying extra to ride a ride that we had already paid for our admission to do it, and that's one of Disney's biggest scams, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So we got in the park early. Our plan was going accordingly. We got in there, and we were going toward the Rise of Resistance line, and wouldn't you know it, as luck would have it, the ride was broken down before it even started. So the ride was closed. It had not opened yet. So we decided to go over to, there's 3 Star Wars rides that are all very popular. And then there's the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which is always a long line as well. So we decided to head over to that one because there was very little line at the time. So we were able to jump into that one. And I want to say we didn't wait that long, maybe 15, 20 minutes. My son and I did it. And that was a really cool ride. Now, the way that they have that one set up is they take 6 people at a time for each ride, and you're basically like flying the Millennium Falcon on a mission. But they split you up, so they have 2 people serve as the pilots, 2 people serve as the gunmen, or you get to shoot the guns on the ship, and then 2 people serve as gunners. They serve as gunners, he's telling me. And then 2 people serve as engineers. Now, I wasn't really sure what exactly the engineers did, but they kind of sat in the back. But we were chosen to be the pilots, so we got to fly the ship, and we got to pick. Okay, they let us choose. Okay, sometimes they don't let you choose. Sometimes it's kind of random. It just depends on where you are in line. But it depends. Maybe sometimes the cast members will be nice and let you pick what position you want to be. So we actually got to pilot the Millennium Falcon. We were the first one in line, and we got to pilot the Falcon, and then and it was really cool. So I have a little bit of video from that. It's a little shaky because it was kind of a crazy ride. But here, take a look at that if you want to check it out. Here's how that ride went. Oh my God!
Left pilot, lift the boosters. Now let's go get that cross out. Right pilot, make the jump to light speed. Press the button, okay?
Oh my God! Wow! Watch out for that planet.
That was me, don't worry.
Okay, we're good.
Those heavy dice are protecting the train. Take them out! If they go to us, take evasive action! There it is! After that train! As engineers, fire the alcohol! Now, guys, shoot the cargo free! Left pilot!
Wow!
My friends, that could have been much worse! friends. On the ship where I can go Chewie. You see, just as I promised, my friend. Let's get another container of coaxium. Pilots, line up behind the train so we can harpoon that last car. Get behind the train. Pilots, into the center. Just in remote. You retrieve 1 container of coaxium. This would greatly help the resistance. You have heard the first order and made Chewie proud.
So there you go. That's the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run ride. It was really cool. That ended up being my favorite ride there, believe it or not, of all the Star Wars rides. That was my favorite. I wanted to do it again, but my son, we didn't have time for me to do it again. My son got to do it again because we used they have the rider swap program, which is just, it's not for every ride, but some of the bigger rides, they have a rider swap program. So if you have 2 parents and one child's too small or too young or too short to get on the ride, so one parent would have to stay behind, and then so I went on the ride with my son, and basically because my wife couldn't go and my other son couldn't go, you sign up for a rider swap, and then when he's done, he gets to go ride with his mother, and they don't have to wait in line. So that's kind of a cool perk, I guess. They basically put you in the lightning lane line. I mean, you're still waiting in line, but it's not the full line. So we did that for a lot of the rides at Disney World, and my son is the one who was the beneficiary of that because he got to do all the rides twice. So that was good for him. So after the Smuggler's Run, we actually went back to the Rider Resistance, got in line. It had opened up. The ride was operational now, so we were very excited. We hadn't done it before, so we get in line, and it's a good long line at this point. It's about an hour wait. So when we got into the line, it was at least an hour-long line, and we were in line for probably about an hour and 15 minutes. And so at this point, we're almost at the front of the line. So it's our turn. It's very close to our turn. And then what do you know? At the ride breaks down again, and this is twice now within the first 2 hours of the park opening. So that's kind of frustrating. So now you're in limbo, right? So now you're trying to decide: do I get out of line? Do I what do you do? Do we just wait? Because see, now it's all unknown. You don't know how long is the ride going to be broken down for. Is it just a 5-minute delay, or is it going to be a 30-minute wait? No clue, and they're not really going to tell you that because they don't really know. The only thing they're going to tell you is that, please be patient. The ride is closed due to technical difficulties. We'll let you know when it's reopened. So we decided to, since we were at the very front of the line, and we had waited for over an hour, we decided to just wait it out and kind of roll the dice and hope we got lucky. And we ended up, it was about a 15-minute delay, but they opened it back up and we were able to get on the ride and do it. So it kind of worked out, but it ended up being probably an hour and a half wait for us. And that's first thing in the morning, so before the park's crowded. So we ended up doing that, and that was cool. And then after that, we did the Star Tours ride. Now, the Star Tours ride is a really, really cool Star Wars ride. That's one of the longest. That one's been there the longest. I remember doing that ride 20, 25, I don't even know how long it's been there, 30 years. I remember doing that a long time ago. That's a really good ride, and so that was fun. Oh, so I will tell you this. So the ride, we actually did buy, I think I mentioned this a second ago, we ended up buying the Lightning Lane for the Rider Resistance ride. So here's what happened with that. So when you buy the Lightning Lane, you basically reserve a time. So we bought the Lightning Lane. It was $15 a piece to basically reserve your spot in line. It basically guarantees you a chance to ride it. So you have to pay extra, which I'm not a big fan of. It's a money grab. So we paid for the three of us, so it was about it ended up being $47 with tax and our time was at 1 o'clock. But because we were able to ride it that morning just on the regular guest line, whatever they call that, we were able to do it So we didn't need the lightning lane. So we actually went back and requested a refund. We said, hey, we were able to ride it. Can we just get our money back for the lightning lanes? And the first cast member told us, no, there's no refunds. I said, you got to be kidding me. Surely you can resell these because they are very, very difficult to get. Those lightning lanes will sell out. And I said, well, surely, anyway, so the first person was not very helpful or friendly and denied our request. So then I told the wife, I said, hey, let's just go ask somebody else and see what they say. And sure enough, we went to some other person, and they gave us the refund back, no questions asked. So I don't know, there was a little bit of a disconnect there with some of the cast members, but we ended up getting the $47 back, and that was fine. So later in the day, we were actually able to do the Frozen show. That was really cool. That's a cool opportunity to go inside and sit down and cool off in the air conditioning theater and just kind of catch your breath and enjoy a nice show. The kids liked it. That was really, really good opportunity to have some enjoyment and take a little bit of a load off. So that was cool. Now, moving on, the Indiana Jones stunt show. This is one that I was really looking forward to now that I have young kids, and I thought that the two boys I thought they would really enjoy it because it has some explosions and stuff and some, it's action-packed. But now I'm sure they did because it was the first time they saw it. But I was really disappointed because it's been the exact same show for the past 20 to 30 years, however long they've been doing that. I remember seeing that show 20 plus years ago, and it hasn't changed one iota. So that was a little disappointing to me that show has not evolved at all over decades of time. So if you have seen, pro tip, if you have seen the Indiana Jones stunt show before, don't waste your time. It's not going to change. It's the exact same show you saw 10, 20, 30 years ago, and it hasn't changed one iota. And it's a long way to get a seat to that. You have to, sit out there 20 to 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour before the next show just to kind of guarantee that you get a seat for that. And I want to say it was about a half-hour show. And so anyway, we could have probably used that 2 hours on some other rides that we wanted to do. Now, moving on with some more of the frustrations with the park. Now, I will say this park was, it seemed like it was one of the smaller parks, maybe the most narrow and most densely kind of populated park. The walkways seemed much narrower than the other parks. This park got really, really crowded really, really quick. And a lot of people just go, the Star Wars fans, they just go to the Star Wars Galaxy Edge section of the park, and they just hang out there all day. So that's kind of cool for people watching, if you like people watching, because there's a lot of people that show up in their Star Wars gear and their costumes and their cosplay, whatever you want to call it. That's kind of cool to see. But I was disappointed. It does not seem like Disney is doing the Star Wars parades anymore like they used to. I don't know if that was a COVID cancellation thing. And we really didn't see that many characters walking around. We saw Chewbacca walking around for a little bit, and we saw a couple stormtroopers that were kind of walking around and kind of guarding some of the ships. But we really didn't see any of the other main characters. I mean, we were at the park all day. Like Kylo Ren. We were hoping to see Kylo Ren and maybe some of the other main characters, Han Solo or somebody like that. And we just really didn't see it. And that was a little bit of a disappointment for me as a Star Wars fan. Just I had expected a little bit more of that, I will say. Now, back to some of the other disappointments in this park. So there's a really popular ride called the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway. It's like a train ride, like a little kind of mini kind of roller coaster. It's not really a roller coaster. It's like a train ride, and it goes through different rooms and stuff. Really cool for the young kids. Now, we waited in line for that one. We had been waiting for about 45 minutes, and we were only about halfway through the line. And then once again, this ride broke down. So they made the announcement, the ride's closed. So at that point, we were like, we bailed on that one. So we got out of that line and went and did some other things. Now, luckily, late that night before the park closed, we actually, they had reopened it, and we were actually able to do that one. And that kind of worked out. We were still able to do that one. Of course, we had to wait in line for it twice to do it once. So there's that. Now, I will say some of the other, observations, some of the, the Disney kind of marketing, money grabbing scams is what they do is, see, they know that there's absolutely no way physically possible that you can do all these big rides. So, for example, we wanted to do the Aerosmith Rock and Roller Coaster, and we also wanted to do the very popular Tower of Terror rides. Now, we just couldn't do it. The lines were too long. Those lines were 1 to 2 hours at least. And even the Rock and Roller Coaster, they have a single rider line, which I thought, oh, well, sure, I'll just go get in a single rider line, and that's probably a lot quicker of a line. You can have a better opportunity to get. Nope, it was all the same. They were all like an hour and a half wait. So how Disney gets you is they know that it's impossible for you to do all the big popular rides. So that's what they do is they sell you these lightning lanes or these Genie Plus passes or whatever, so you can guarantee your spot or your opportunity to get on the ride. So that way now Disney's making even more money off of you because they know that there's no way that you're going to be able to do all these rides because you can't wait in, 8 rides, 2 hours each. There's not enough hours in the day for you to do this. So Disney knows that, and they take advantage of it, and they charge you even more. So that's a little bit of a frustration. So we weren't able to do those rides, the Rock and Roller Coaster and the Tower of Terror. We just ran out of time, and we did not want to pay more money to do it. Now, the last little section of Hollywood Studios that we went to was kind of really cool for the kids. It's the Toy Story Land, and they had 3 really, really good rides over there for the kids. They had the Alien Swirling Saucers, I believe it was called. And my youngest son did that one with his mom, and he really liked it. And then they had the Toy Story Mania, which is one of those rides where you go through and you have the guns, and it's an interactive shooting competition ride, and it keeps your score, and you shoot at the different targets. So that one was really cool. We had a lot of fun on that one. And now we came to, at the end of the night, we didn't know we were going to have time to do this, and this is one of the most popular rides in all of Disney World parks, is the Slinky Dog Dash roller coaster. And I really didn't think we were going to be able to do it. It was an hour and a half wait. It was at the end of the day. And we thought at the end of the day, the park would kind of thin out a little bit and we would have lesser lines. Yeah, no, not that. Definitely was not the case. So we actually were able to get on the Slinky Dog Dash. It was really cool. It's really cool to do it at night, I will say. That's another pro tip for you, because it lights up and it's really, really cool and looks really neat. Now, I will say I've been on a lot of roller coasters, and this Slinky Dog Dash, it was probably one of the smoothest, easiest roller coasters I've been on as far as physical. It doesn't jar you. You don't come off with a migraine headache or have to go to the chiropractor afterwards. This was a very smooth, easy, very fun ride, and the kids love it. So if you have a chance to do that one, do it. That's, this is another one that people buy the lightning lanes for, to be able to do it. So those were some of my thoughts and observations on Hollywood Studios. And now my 6-year-old son Maddux, he's going to come back over here and he's going to share some of his favorite things that he got to do. So come back over, little man Maddux, come on back over. Here he is. So now here he is. So remember, let's first talk about Rise of the Resistance. Now this ride, remember,
I really liked it, but the thing is, I got a little scared.
That's right. He did. He got a little. The first time he rode it, he got a little scared.
And there's actual people outside of the ride that were dressed up as stormtroopers.
Okay, yeah, there were. That was actually pretty cool to see the stormtroopers. Now listen, tell them why did you get scared? Do you remember why you got scared the first time?
Because there was a bunch of blasters.
Okay, yeah, because it's if you haven't done it, it's more of like an experience as well. And I will say that.
And it's like you're in the real movie.
That's right. It's an experience.
Except you're in a car.
Yeah, you're in the little car. Now, if you haven't done it before, I will say it's a good 10 to 15 minute ride. So it takes a while to get through it.
If you haven't went to Disney World.
Yes. So you got scared because there's actually kind of a scene. You're in a little car, I guess, and you're kind of going through these different scenes. And there's parts that are so realistic, like the stormtroopers start shooting at you, and it looks and feels so real. And he got a little scared. It was a little intense, but he did the ride again because we did the rider swap. He did the ride again with his mother, and he loved it. So he came back and said that was my favorite ride. So it went from him being scared of it to him being his favorite ride. So that was kind of fun to see.
And Smuggler's Run was my second favorite
Okay, so
ride.
tell him how you like that. Remember, you got to fly the Millennium Falcon. So how did you like to do
And
that?
I got to fly left and right, and my dad got to flew up and down.
That's right.
Or I got to flew up and down. And he got to
That's
do
right.
left
We got to
and right.
land the ship.
But with my mom, we did even worse.
Okay. I'm sorry to hear that.
Because at the end of the ride, it shows you how much damage.
Oh, that's right. So you guys had a rough landing there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's good. You got to do that. Now.
And we had to steal we had to get the crystal.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That was part of the Smuggler's Run kind of adventure that you got to go on. Okay, so what other rides did you remember doing that you liked the most? Do you remember like the Toy Story Land rides?
I really like Slinky Dog.
Okay, tell them about Slinky Dog. How did you like?
Slinky Dog.
How did you
We
like
actually
that?
got a toy of Slinky
That's
Dog.
right. We got a toy for little brother.
And
The actual Slinky Dog toy that lights up and looks pretty cool.
and it's not that bad of a ride. It doesn't go really high drops.
That's true. So it wasn't scary for you, right?
It was a little scary.
It was a little scary, but it didn't go. It only had one little part where it kind of went a little fast, right? But everything else wasn't too bad, right? Okay. What other rides do you remember? Do you remember the Toy Story Mania where we were shooting at the targets, where you got to and it kept your score and
That was like a
remember that?
baby ride.
That was a
I
baby
don't
ride?
I
You
didn't
like
really
that one?
like that one.
Okay, you didn't like that one. Okay, how about the Indiana Jones stunt show? Do you remember that? Where they had like the...
Yeah, I really like that.
You like that where they had the
That's not really a
explosions?
ride.
No, that was like a show. That was a show. Did you like that though? Okay, so good for the little kids because it has the explosions and the fire and the stunts and they're kind of acting out a scene from a movie.
And there was a car.
There was a car, and remember it tipped over and it blew up. So it's kind of cool.
It was actually real fire.
But nobody gets hurt in real life. It's a stunt show, and it kind of teaches you how they make the movie.
And they had extinguishers.
Fire extinguishers. That's
to
right.
Put out the
That's a
fire.
good memory. Yeah, they sure did. So right when the explosion happened, all the emergency crew would run out with the fire extinguishers, and they would put it out right away, so no one would get hurt. I forgot. Yep. That's a good memory. I forgot about that. What about? Do you remember the Mickey and Minnie Runaway Railway ride? That was a good ride. Right? Did you like that?
Yeah, I really liked
that was
that
like
one.
so we lucked out, and we were able to see it or do it after it broke down. So we were a little frustrated it broke down, but we went back and we were able to do that one at the end of the day. So I'm glad that you guys got to do it because that was good for the young kids.
And I was tired.
And you were tired. It was a long day. One thing I didn't mention earlier.
And it was at nighttime.
It was at nighttime, yeah, because we had to go back at the end because they finally reopened the ride. Now, remember, one thing I didn't mention earlier remember the Lightning McQueen? Was that like a show? Remember the Lightning McQueen show? And we walked into, it was kind of like a little theater, and they had the Lightning McQueen car, the real size Lightning McQueen car, and then they had like a show. Did you remember liking that? How did you like that?
Yeah, I like that.
Let me see if I can find out what that one was called. The Lightning McQueen Racing Academy. That's what it's called. So it's about a 10-minute, I guess, experience you go into. It's kind of like a show.
And the saying is Hollywood Studios is the smallest.
It felt like it felt like it was the smallest park.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really a lot of room to move around.
And the map shows that it's the smallest.
Yeah, the map shows that
That's pretty small.
It's kind of narrow, like narrow corridors, I guess I'll say. So what else do you want to tell them? Any final thoughts? What about the Frozen show? You remember the Frozen show? How did you like the Frozen show? Here, speak over here. You liked the Frozen show? They had a lot of good songs. They were singing the songs.
The Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, the Lightning McQueen. We did that one.
Yeah, and Lightning McQueen, it's just like 20 steps next to the rock and roller coaster.
That's true. It was very close to the rock and roller coaster. Any other rides that you remember doing that you liked? What do you think? What was your most favorite ride at Hollywood Studios?
Probably Rise of Resistance.
Rise of Resistance, and what's number 2? I think I know what number 2 is.
Slinky Dog.
Slinky Dog. Okay, so there you go. 6-year-old says number 1 favorite was Rise of the Resistance.
And third favorite was actually Smuggler's Run.
Okay, that's good. That's a good list, actually. Slinky Dog Dash was his number 2.
And then the Indiana Jones stunt show, and then Frozen.
Okay, so you got your top 5. So your top 5: Rise of Resistance. Number 2, Slinky Dog Dash. Number 3, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Number 4, what was number 4? Indiana Jones stunt show. Number 5 was the Frozen show.
Yeah.
Okay, Frozen show. There's your top 5. So if you go with your kids, check out those 5. Your kids might like them as well. So until next time.
Except if you have a 2 or younger.
Unless you have a 2 or younger, yeah, because they'll probably like anything because they're 2 and younger. They'll have fun doing anything.
But they're too young.
Yeah, they might not be able to do everything when you're that young. So okay, so let's say goodbye.
But if you're 6 like me, you can do everything there.
That's right. So we're gonna sign off now. So we're gonna say, hey, check out all of our other Disney reviews. We'll pop them up on the top of the screen.
Right here or right here.
That's right. We've done a whole bunch of them.
And our channel's going to be in the middle.
And I have a Disney theme park review playlist.
And one last thing. If you haven't went to Disney World, that's okay. But if you have went to Disney, that's okay too.
That's true. And remember the famous saying, have a magical
Good
day.
day.
See you next time. She went to the cafeteria to get a sandwich because she hadn't had dinner yet.